I was trying to read a book in the comfort of my own home, but my own home wasn't comfortable. It was too hot to concentrate. Will I ever be able to read to my children or enjoy the adventures of the Fedora 4 from my armchair again?
What is art? I know it sounds silly with me saying it out loud, but I'm serious. What is art? Is it something that lies solely in the visual field, or maybe in the musical one? Is art intangible by nature, transcendental, or can it be tactile and hands-on? Oftentimes, it seems that the best types of art are a combination of multiple things, like the theater, for example. For centuries now, no matter where you called home, no matter what side of the map you lived on, theater was considered to be the peak form of art humanity had to offer. Here, one could witness acting, song, dance, performances of every kind and every variety. It was culture-defining stuff. Then, as time would pass, and we took our performances to the silver screens, the cinema became the peak form of art and entertainment in the world. No matter your age, race, gender, or religion, film had the capability to seemingly reach out and touch our very souls. Effortlessly, it would seem. This would continue for a little under 100 years until something called video games finally got good enough to be considered pieces of art in their own right, though some may argue it was a little sooner. Year after glorious year, the standard for what was considered art in the gaming world only continued to be raised. The graphics were getting better, the writing was getting tighter, seemingly every aspect of the medium improved and kept improving, to all of our benefit and enjoyment. If you asked me what I considered to be art in the gaming space, I'd probably throw 9 or 10 titles at you. The same bunch of titles we'd all throw out when debating the greatest of all time. With a couple of personal picks in there, of course. But recently, a new indie game by the name of Halibut has snuck its way onto my list and challenged my idea of what art in this medium can be. It's a game that's genuine, clever, and strange, but heartfelt all throughout. Incredibly written and meticulously crafted, Halibut is the sleeper hit I did not see coming one bit. This thing just came out of the blue for me. What starts off as a quirky space janitor simulator soon evolves into a dialogue-focused adventure game revolving around an underwater city, aliens, secrets, and above all, the power of friendship. So I ask you again, listener, what is art? Well, I'll tell you. Art is that which moves us, is it not? Seems pretty simple. Therefore, by that logic, art can be anything and everything, so long as it touches us on some kind of a deeper level, makes us feel something. And that's why I just had to introduce to you all Halibut, a game that truly makes you feel something, and a project I consider to be a genuine piece of art. The concept for Halibut was created by the 4 longtime friends Onat, Ole, Fabian, and Daniel in 2010. It all started on a rainy night with a group of friends and a dream, the team writes over on Steam. Appropriate, as the game's themes and story revolve entirely around the concepts of camaraderie and friendship. You can feel it in every scene, in every frame. It's comforting in a way. While most games thrive on a fast-paced experience, Harold Halibut forces us to slow things down and smell the underwater roses for a change. Production for the project would officially begin in 2012, with the group forming Slow Bros Studios in 2015. By this time, the team for the game had grown to 12 people, a whole hodgepodge of filmmakers, carpenters, illustrators, as well as apparel and game designers. Truly a motley crew of talented individuals. In making this game, the teams reported on using 10 kilograms of clay just making the various puppets, and over 50 kilograms of plaster for the sets, which is insane. For the next 9 years, the team would continue creating their futuristic retro world by first handcrafting every little detail of the game before scanning it into a 3D environment. Everything from props to clothing and even sounds have all been carefully created by hand. Now, originally, the game was supposed to be a point-and-click type of adventure game, like Grim Fandango or the Monkey Isle series. But the team wasn't quite satisfied with the feel of the world, and opted to have the game be three-dimensional, rather than just two. This was done through a process called photogrammetry, a science and art form that requires you to take hundreds of photos of an object from a multitude of different angles. All of these photos are then compiled into a software system called Capturing Reality, which would allow those hundreds of pictures to be turned into a 3D mesh, thus giving the game more depth, and allowing textures to look incredibly detailed and near lifelike. I mean, look at this. This is just incredible. Unfortunately, the only drawback to doing this is that the models come out having way too many polygons, and therefore have to be toned down to help with rendering. You still keep the same look, but the actual amount of polygons in the model is drastically reduced. After this is done, movements are created via motion capturing, adding yet another detail of reality, and then everything is brought together in the Unity engine, which combines all the processes I previously spoke about and ties things together rather neatly. So what you're seeing isn't technically a traditional stop motion, but rather a fusion of both old and modern techniques. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Then, using the sweet tool Cinema Machine, the team is able to capture all kinds of camera angles that change depending on where you are. And honestly, this looks way better than movie stop-motion quality. I really wish more people would make games in this fashion, or even movies using this method. I also highly recommend the video that goes into more depth on this process they have over on the Unity YouTube channel. I've linked it below.
Yeah, plants. So we kind of create the plants on flat surfaces, as you can see here. Our artist draws them on transparent sheets, and then we scan them in and kind of put them together in the digital world.
Oh yeah, and did I mention this is Slow Bros' first game too? An absolute crazy standard to set as a debut title. But enough with the tech talk. What is this game even about? Our underwater adventure follows the life of Harold Halibut, apprentice to Professor Moreau and sole janitor aboard the Fedora 1, a spacefaring ship that crashed into this ocean planet while searching for a new place to call home. The crash was caused by solar winds out in space, and now 250 years later, after the incident, the Fedora has been retooled and repurposed into an underwater city connected via a corporate tube system. At the beginning, you'll have access to the all-water district, Central Station, the lab district, the energy district, as well as the Agora arcades, which is this giant hub area you've seen if you watched any of the promotions for the game. As you continue your playthrough though, more areas will unlock. The first couple hours of the game are spent mostly exploring these different parts of the Fedora, as you complete your various jobs and tasks given to you by the professor, as well as other people around the ship. You're essentially the errand boy for everybody. something Harold doesn't seem to mind too much, as he's a kind-hearted, soft-spoken everyman, someone the audience can easily care for as well as identify with. In fact, the more you play through the story, the more you'll come to find that there's a little bit of Harold inside all of us. Gonna be really hard not to make a sex joke there. Although the beginning of the game starts off as a simple space janitor simulator, you'll come to find that the writing of the story, world, and characters really elevates these menial tasks into something truly special, with things like fetch quests and slow movement speed actually being an upside to the experience rather than a detraction. Harold Halibut is a slower, narrative-driven experience after all. It should be taken at a chill, unhurried pace. So many of our games nowadays are all about speed, efficiency, and getting shit done faster. But Harold challenges us to slow down, like really slow down, and just enjoy the pace we're going at. Growing up, I used to watch tons of stop-motion and claymation movies, so playing this game, I don't know, it just unlocks some kind of childhood joy inside of me. Every new discovery, every discussion or side story just puts a huge smile on my face from ear to ear. This game is an absolute delight to play. I've always wanted to make a stop-motion movie as a kid, and now I technically can, or at least pretend that I am. Despite having a run feature, I love just purposefully walking around at a slow pace. No matter what part of the game I'm at, I just walk around slowly, just to make the scenes look more cinematic. Every interior and every scene is just so damn detailed and refined. The Slow Bros really hit it out of the park in this aspect and are quite inspirational. Hopefully more people will choose to make games using these technologies and methods. Who knows what's possible. Now, while the game itself is made up of multiple individual stories, the overarching plot is that the leadership of the Fedora has recently picked up a transmission from Earth, from a surfaced buoy they recently sent up. In the message, it says that the planet they left is actually fine.
Well, we just wanted to let you know that we pulled together down here. The sparrows calmed down and things pretty much worked themselves out. Life still isn't perfect. Bananas died out, and you gotta be pretty careful around water. But by and large, we're back on track. Earth survived. Wish we could send you a postcard.
It seems that they really didn't need to leave in the first place all those years ago. This then prompts the Allwater CEO to kickstart a plan for getting the ship off this planet once and for all. Cyrus and Slippy compete for whose escape method will be more useful. At the same time this is happening, Professor Moreau discovers a 2-year window in which the solar flares surrounding the planet subside momentarily before continuing for another 80 consecutive years. According to her calculations, they only have 89 days to figure out how to leave this planet, or they'll be stuck there for another 8 decades. This countdown can be seen anytime you go to bed for the day. To make matters worse, the entire ship is slowly losing power to operate properly, causing tubes to be shut down or even entire sections of the ship to be abandoned. Originally, the ship was designed to be solar powered as it glided effortlessly through space. But since they are deep below a planetary ocean with barely any sunlight, the power is slowly being depleted. Completely. And it doesn't end there. To make matters more interesting, as if not enough stuff was going on, one of the days Harold is cleaning out the filters and going about his day, an alien life form gets sucked in from the ocean outside. There had been no previous signs of life detected before on this planet, aside from simple sea life, so this comes as a complete surprise to Harold and the professor. This isn't one of those futures where aliens are just flying around everywhere. This is the very first time any human has made actual contact with an alien. The professor keeps it a secret for the time being, and she and Harold attempt to nurse the alien back to health. And that's all I'll say in terms of spoilers for the main story. As it's here, I want to take a second to talk about some of the characters you've met up until this point in the game. Each member of this quirky cast is both charming and unique in their own special ways. The interactions you have with them are arguably just as good as the main plot, in my opinion. One of the very first people you meet, and one of my personal favorites, is Major Raleigh Sandstrom, or just Major for short. He acts as chief of police and head lawman aboard the Fedora.
If, and I mean if, you're acting as some kind of heroic big brother figure to this young man, I expect you to be a positive influence.
There's no...
Come on, spit it out, man!
Just leave me alone, Sandstrom. I've got fish to feed.
Okay, Harold, but your fish won't save you if I catch you red-handed. Now, Felix! Where is Felix?
Oh, no.
Although the man presents himself as a hardened bastion of justice and a real hard-ass at times, he's actually got a bit of a soft side to him, going so far as to harbor an illegal pet in secrecy. The very same flounder that's on all the loading screens. Then there's Buddy, the... I promised I wasn't gonna cry here. Then there's Buddy, the always chipper, elderly mailman. Probably the most positive and kindest person aboard the Fedora.
It sure was. I try not to busy myself with those kinds of affairs.
In your spare time, as the alien is recovering, Harold and Buddy read through letters that were unable to get delivered together, growing closer as friends in the process. Of all the characters in the cast, Buddy stuck with me the most, not only for his sage advice and wisdom, but also for the joy he brought to the people around him, even after a certain something happens. Then we have Chris, the guru-like spiritual man and school teacher. You'll first find him lounging around in the break room, watching Turkish soap operas.
Yes, Sun Tzu's Aşk, Eternal Love. Best and only Turkish novella we have on board. I thought season 18 was bad, what with all the drama around Emery's cousin and whatnot.
Much like Buddy, Chris too is a beacon of positivity throughout the game, acting as both a mentor figure to the kids and a good friend to Harold and the ones around him. Chris and Buddy are even part of a running club that they force you to participate in.
Go on. Without me.
Good show, Harold. How's everyone feeling?
I think that was a new personal best for me.
Fine. Thanks, buddy. How'd you both keep so fit?
Next, we have Cyrus, fellow scientist and part-time genius. Your first interactions with him are in the botanical room, one of the coolest rooms to just stand around in and listen to the music. Cyrus is a man of facts, numbers, and equations. Most of the time you spend with the guy is watching him do calculations or having him mess with you for his entertainment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Harold. I couldn't resist.
During your time waiting for the alien to recover, it's announced that the new launch sequence will be headed by Slippy rather than Cyrus. The two were competing for which method was going to be used in the relaunch sequence. Apparently, his calculations for the plan are off somehow, and he doesn't know quite why. Personally, I'd rather have the scientist create the launching method for a spaceship, but unfortunately, it's given to this guy.
Please witness the future of Fedora. A launch plan not just to the stars, but for the superstars you all are.
Cyrus is also the father of Sunny. Now, Sunny's character has a bit more of a past with Harold, as it's alluded through conversations, and then outright confirmed in later dialogue, that the two had a bit of a fling when they were younger. It never goes into detail specifically as to why they broke up, but from the conversations Harold has with both himself and Fishy, he still has some feelings for her. Oh yeah, by the way, Fishy is what Harold calls the alien while it's recovering out in the storage closet. Your interactions with her up until this point are all rather awkward, as Harold still gets nervous around Sunny.
So, you still hanging out with my dad?
Yeah, sometimes. Same old Cyrus, huh? Reckon the QT will be much longer?
It only takes a minute.
How long has it been?
Like a few seconds at the most. Anyway, don't you have something you want?
Next up are the quadruplets, Secretary 24, Secretary 17, Secretary 8, and Warren. 3 of the 4 brothers can be found all throughout the Fedora, manning their posts at the arcade, central station, and all water offices respectively. Warren, on the other hand, is a bit of a rebel in the family, choosing to pursue the culinary arts rather than follow in his brother's footsteps as a company man.
Water wieners! I bet you've never seen a meaner wiener.
Hello there. No, I haven't. They look great.
This decision actually ends up splitting the brothers apart, and now they aren't on speaking terms with Warren anymore. You can find him with his wiener stand at the Agora arcades. Now, speaking of the arcade, I'd say about a third of the cast is always hanging out in here. In fact, the arcade will change and fill up with more people as the story progresses, much like your own personal room. It's the second coolest place to just walk around and exist inside of. It has everything from restaurants and stores to a musical stage and even a statue of this octopus god thing. But yeah, hands down, the coolest room on the whole ship, by far. In the arcade, you'll find Tommy, the general store owner and father to Felix, the kid you saw in those opening minutes of the game. Tommy is a family man, through and through. You can often find him in his store, down by the filter station, or at the bar having drinks. Oftentimes you'll join him having drinks.
Just like always.
Okay, good. Well, here's to the filters, eh? Long may they remain at optimal capacity. Cheers.
Cheers.
So come on, you must have something you want to grouch about.
Well, sure.
Bridget, his wife, is another scientist aboard the Fedora. She works down at the Energy District, and the time with her is mostly spent running experiments. She, too, proves to be a good friend to Harold, oftentimes offering up advice.
I think it's being kind and knowing what you don't know, and seeing deeper than just what something appears to be. You know, everyone can make mistakes, but not everyone can learn from them.
Thank you, Bridget.
Then there's Felix, Bridget and Tommy's son. He's probably the biggest troublemaker on the Fedora, excluding the secret organization known as the Lightkeepers, but Felix spends most of his time arguing with authority, breaking the rules, and exploring tunnels he's not supposed to. Harold, of course, tags along for the ride. Though he comes off as rambunctious, Felix is a good-hearted kid that reminds me of a sort of Bart Simpson type of archetype, which I'm always glad to see.
But, Major, what is the subject?
That's right, Harold. Know your rights.
Right next door to Tommy's store will be the Intercom Oasis, a retro arcade area where you'll find Rafi, the melancholic manager and cabinet repairman. Rafi seems to hate just about any kind of interaction, as every time Harold speaks to him or favors are asked of him, he's always quick to say no. He's kind of a dick, actually, the more I think about it. In the Oasis, you'll also be introduced to Eve, one of the two leaders of the school children. Opposite of the Intercom Oasis, we have the store of John Slippy Jr., or just Slippy for short. Slippy runs a winter supply store despite being underwater and far, far away from any snow. He even has a fake skiing ramp built in for people to try out. Slippy hails from the famous Schlippmeyer family, one of the many companies that helped fund the Fedora's research and construction, making him a little more full of himself than the rest of the crew. He's your typical entrepreneurial douchebag, but he's our entrepreneurial douchebag, and there's some charm to him, especially in his commercials.
Live and work at whatever temperature is right for you. With over 200 years of expertise, you can bet the weather forecast shows Slippies across the board. Come in out of the cold and into Slippies. Slippies. Heat protection so good, it'll be a cold day in hell.
Then we have Captain-at-Large Zoya, who can be found in the Allwater District, helming the command center above the office space. Much like Slippy, Zoya comes from a famous family himself, this one being the long line of captains who piloted the Fedora before him, the last captain being his father. Harold slowly builds a friendship with Zoya throughout this time as you help him overcome some mental obstacles in his life. You can also help him find his pet chicken that's gone missing somewhere aboard the ship.
Ah, Coco, you mischievous little thing, you. Causing your captain to worry and making trouble for everyone. Don't ever change.
Well,
next up is Madam CEO Castlechop, who can be found in the main office of the Allwater District. She's the head of the Allwater Corporation and the head honcho aboard the Fedora. Pretty much all the decisions on the ship go through her first, and from the interactions you have with her, she's a no-bullshit kind of lady, always trying to keep life aboard the Fedora as normal and efficient as possible. Oh, and how could I forget about all the side characters you meet up until this point as well? You have Nigel, the fish hut guy, there's the color soup owner across the way, The two gossipers in the bar, which if you look closely is also the guy from the Slippy commercials. Then you have the kids from Chris's class, a rude parent you can interact with, the all-water announcer.
It's the tannoy guy.
All water. Water. Woogan. Water.
Oh gosh, I should probably just leave, let him talk to himself in private.
And Onat, the musician. Onat is one of the original 4 friends who came up with the idea for the game. Not only does he play a self-insert of himself, but he also wrote, directed, mocapped, and handled music in the game. Pretty much everyone on the Slowbros team was doing multiple jobs at once, and Onat is definitely no exception to that. And that's about everyone you meet for the first half of the game, until eventually, as Harold is going about his day, Fishy suddenly wakes up. So the alien, whose name is actually Weeoo and not Fishy at all, explains to us that he had been exploring the waters outside of their cave for many days, just swimming out there until eventually it swam out near the Fedora and got sucked up through the filter system. All of this is explained once the professor makes this alien language translating device that you wear as an earpiece. From the second Weeoo wakes up again, Harold and it become instant best friends, as he shows off all the wonders of the human world, getting along like 2 peas in a pod. It's really awesome to see Harold go from this gloomy guy with his head in the clouds to a more chipper, upbeat person. Shit, I want an alien fish friend too at this point. Eventually though, after 18 days of recovering, Weeoo invites Harold to come check out the cave all the aliens call home. Professor Moreau even encourages this, hoping to find an alternative source of energy for the Fedora, and offers them this secret submarine to take. Once the two get to the cave, the game opens up to a new hub area, which is by far the biggest space in the whole game. Here, you discover a completely new cast of alien friends for you to talk to and to get to know, or at least to attempt to get to know. Everything in the cave is just so colorful and bizarre and alien, for a lack of a better word. It's hands down the most scenic part of the game, and many of those ideas and themes that have been building up throughout the game come to fruition here. If you thought hanging around the Agora arcades was pretty cool, the cave is by far the most scenic place to explore. Now, I'm not going to spoil the rest of the game, as it truly is something special and something that you should experience on your own, but let me tell you this. Seeing where the story and characters progress for the rest of the game are some of the most heartwarming moments I've ever experienced in video games. Each of the side plots wrap up neatly, the music is amazing all throughout, the dream sequences are both introspective, creative, and very meta, but most importantly, the ending actually had me standing and cheering as the credits rolled on, something I normally don't do. The way this game ends is just perfect in my opinion. Bittersweet, but perfect. I never wanted it to finish. Harold Halibut truly is a magical game that should be experienced by everybody who can get their hands on it. No matter where you come from or what kind of profession you do, Harold Halibut will manage to put a smile on anyone's face. Its slow pacing, fantastic writing, and even more fantastical characters have captured not only my heart, but my imagination as well. In a marketplace filled with darker and more adult-themed stories, it's delightful to find a game that makes you feel like a kid again. So often we hear the term cozy game being thrown around when explaining these more chill experiences. And this, for sure, is one of those cozy games. As I said at the beginning of the video, Harold Halibut challenges us to rethink what a video game can be in the first place, what art can be in the first place. The team over at Slowbros should win a fucking award for the efforts they went through here. Every character model, every interior, set, and scene have all been meticulously and beautifully crafted, by hand no less. The attention to detail is insane. I've never seen anything like it in a video game before. This game is the perfect example as to why indie developers should be praised over their AAA counterparts. The indie developers just care more, and it shows. God, does it show.